right. So
Yeah.
we are using StreamYard for the next episode. We used it for last episode. Now this one. So
I'm liking it.
woo, so far, so good. I missed the countdown. I missed.
Oh, yeah. Well, we need to add one in there. We got all these options over here to the side. We can put our own in there.
We do. But we can also go live on these. So I thought about just having our recordings live. So if you want our podcast sessions to be live, let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll throw them out there. But today we're talking about the price of perfection. And it's something that kind of got trained into me back around 2000. So some of you might remember the waterfall method when it comes to development. And the idea was you complete a phase of a project and you move on to the next phase. So you make every phase of the project you complete and you move on. Mm-hmm. And eventually we got to this thing called Agile. Mm-hmm. And Agile said, you know what? You can never be complete. What you can do is you can be better.
Yeah.
And this process of becoming better will, over time, exceed the waterfall model. And this idea that you can, if you just get this done, you can have everything that you ever dreamed of. Because you know what? If you can just get to the gym every day and work out at this level every day, and then eat this many calories for this many meals, you will be a perfectly in shape human being in balance. And that's what everybody kicks off their New Year's with. And what is the failure rate on that?
I don't know, 100%.
And how many of those people think, I have a problem. I am mentally incapable of self-disciplining to get here. And so they just give up. And they see it as on themselves, as it's my fault. I'm just a bad person. Mm-hmm. Versus thinking, no, the goal was crap.
And so it's no secret that I'm the poster child for analysis paralysis.
Yeah? That's why I'm here.
And in my defense, at least I feel like I'm in good company, because I think the IT industry is full of a lot of this, challenge in getting things done. And we see the potential. There's a lot of, you look out there and go, we could do this, new software platforms or, new infrastructures, routing protocols, whatever it is, you see these things that can be done and you start. And when do they ever get finished?
Yep.
Never, and we're constantly
and we blame
working.
ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. It's awful. It really is.
Well, and I remember, I believe it was Square One TV. And I think it was the MathNet or one of them, 321 Contact, maybe. Mm-hmm. One of those two shows. There was this kid on there trying to make $1 million. And he was trying to sell a pencil. And he said, if I could just sell one.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all I need.
That was it. This is back in the 80s, guys.
Right.
And it's kind of like this lean manufacturing idea. Like even back then, we were talking about iterative process. Toyota did it. Mm-hmm. And the whole concept was, if he could just sell one, he would win. But he just can't sell this pencil. So he'll never be a millionaire. And it's all on him. It's his fault he can't sell this pencil.
Yep.
And rather than looking at, no, it's the system. It's what you're setting yourself up for. Instead of selling one pencil, what if you sold 1 million pencils?
1 million pencils, yeah.
Or 10 million pencils. Which one is easier? And it seems like we oversimplify our goals and we never achieve them because we don't break them down. Yes. So Adam Walter is a big picture guy. And I get frustrated when I can't move the needle forward. Skip is a weeds guy. You get us both in a room and we actually get things done.
Yes.
But we'll yell at each other a lot. It's because Adam, no, it's more complicated than that. Or, Zoltan, if you're listening to this, he's like, no, Adam, the light turning on is not that simple.
Yeah. It's more than just a color.
And so there has to be a balance to it. So is the goal good? Is losing weight a good goal? Yes. Is it achievable? Well, it depends on what your weight loss goal is, for one. If you already are below 2% body fat, you might want to consider some, therapy.
Therapy.
But if you're like me and you're sitting in your 20% body fat-ish, somewhere around in those 20s, I should probably check it again. Then you're like, okay, I would love to get down 5%. Now, if I just say that, it's not going to happen. If I say, okay, well, I need to eat less. Okay, that's true, but Adam loves his food. I like my food. I like cooking. I like eating. And I'm a stress eater and I run a business. Bad combination.
Yeah.
But I can say, hey, you know what? I am going to not drink beer on these days. And that's going to cut my consumption by 1 beer a week. That's 200 calories. And, so that means that after 10 weeks, that's 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
That's a half a pound. You know, like I'm moving the needle now. It's little, it's tiny, but it's going somewhere and I'm getting better. It's something I can achieve very simply. It's a tangible goal that I can easily change today. It requires almost no effort. Don't drink a beer on Tuesdays, whatever it is. Cut 4,000 calories out of your diet or 3,000, whatever. What is a pound? 3,000 calories or 4,000?
That's highly debatable. So,
anyways,
I've been in the weeds on that one.
Anyways, big picture right in here, so I've been told this by a number of great trainers out there. It's like, just work on the habit. Don't work on the goal.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to get in shape, don't think I'm going to go into the gym and hit my target zone for 30 minutes today. Think I'm going to go to the gym today.
Yes.
You sit there and look at your phone the whole time. Okay. You made it to the gym. Yeah. That is one step closer that you were not yesterday.
But I'm back there crapping at you because you're sitting on the phone. You're on your phone and won't get off the equipment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Those people annoy me. I'm like, dude, I don't know if you're looking up a workout there. Do you need some help? I don't want to be that guy walking into a gym. Like I see you're sitting by the dumbbells. What you working on?
Yeah.
Like you always see these know-it-alls walk in and they're like, here's how you do a tricep lift. I'm like, I was an All-American, but back in 2000, although now weight training has changed a lot since then on what we understand about exercise science changed a lot. So a lot of my knowledge is really old. So I try to stay out of people's business because, you're a 20 something, you're looking at these videos on YouTube, probably have a personal trainer. It's fine. But could you get off the bench?
Yeah. That's the important part. Get off the bench.
So anyways, the idea of the iterative process is we see this a lot in the IT industry. And for me, it was this thing called ITIL. ITIL is a framework for large corporations. You don't see it much in small business because it's too big.
Way too big.
But if all your departments can run ITIL together, then they can hand off processes and be in sync. Mm-hmm. So we're all meeting and we're all doing regular updates and we're doing things according to this giant process. But it is a good 3-4 year process.
Yeah.
And in my history, I was with like 9 companies. None of them successfully implemented ITIL. And we had some very mature, very robust companies with very capable people. And that's where I started thinking there's got to be a better way. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started looking at like Agile, but Agile was a development thing. You can't do that in operations. And then I started thinking, no one's done it yet for IT operations.
Yeah.
Car manufacturers have been doing this for decades. So why can't we? And so because no one's applied the principles to operations.
And the principles is important. Yes. Yeah.
This idea of like, let's make things a little bit better today and ingrain that into your people. So you'll buy these products. And I won't name them right now, but there's products out there where they're selling you on this 3-year forklift or this year-long forklift to get into this product. And once that's done, everything's going to be great.
Yes.
Yeah. And the goal is noble, but at the end, what I keep hearing from MSPs and from companies is, yeah, we just couldn't get it done. We were too busy. We couldn't get it done because our integrations weren't right. And it was always their fault. They just couldn't get it done. And if they could have, everything would have been great.
Yeah. It's like it ignores the fact that life is happening. And, there are events outside your control that you can't manage, but you have to respond to. And that's reality. And we've got to make sure that we're setting those reasonable expectations. You've got the title up there, and I keep looking at it, The Price of Perfection. And here's an interesting take on that. You can get perfect as long as perfect is a reasonable goal. Right? So, we've kind of been talking about
the definition of perfect needs to be different.
Yes.
You know what's perfect for me on a steak? A perfect steak for me. Absolutely perfection. Needs to be my backyard, my grill.
Yep.
It comes off. That's my definite, and a little and pink on the inside.
Yep.
That's my idea of a perfect steak. Maybe I dropped it on the deck on the way out. Maybe I had a hot spot on the grill and charred a part of it. That steak to me is perfect. It came off my grill. It's in my backyard, and it's on my table. That's my idea of a perfect steak. Well, now, somebody else will be like, it needs to have this and this and this.
No.
It has to have these seasonings, have to have this marinade, has to have this char process, has to be reverse seared. And I do know how to do steaks, guys. I just am lazy, and I'd rather eat my steak than stare at it for
and that's it. And so setting your goals for perfection is really important. You know, on the body fat percentage and the health stuff, you know, I've done my work in the weeds on that, and that 10%, that 10% body fat, you know, that's the, you know, it's the popular thing to talk about. You can go out and, you know, hit the YouTube channels or, you know, whatever feeds you're looking at, and that's like the goal. And so, you know, I dug into that, and then, you know, looked at what it took to get there, especially for someone in their 50s, and, you know, what it took to stay there. And I came back and went, no, that's not worth it. You know, I'm not trying to end up on the cover of Muscle and Fitness. You know, that's never going to happen.
I have, and I think you have probably as well. You have reached peak physical condition at one point in your life. Like there's a picture of Skip that we have of him doing like a flying kick over a guy's head. Like I was, 8% body fat, all American, like thrower status. Like I was, 275 pounds at 8%.
Yeah.
And I felt overweight then.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. But I reached that peak. I see what it was like, but I wasn't perfect. And if I worked as hard as I could enough, I sacrificed time with my family, I sacrificed time with the business, I could probably get back to like a 12%.
Yes. Well, and that you've hit on another interesting deal. What would you have to sacrifice to get to perfection? And is it worth it? When you can balance the sacrifice so that the perfection is worth it, then you've hit the right perfect goal.
Yeah. And when you have in your business these goals, you got to ask yourself, what are you gaining there? It's a noble goal, but is it the right one?
Mm-hmm.
And so like this will help you do documentation better. Okay, what are you going to gain from a documentation? It's a big topic in every technical area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have all your documentation 100% correct, if Skip spent time getting our wiki up to date perfectly, that is time he doesn't get to spend one-on-one with clients. And so what did it cost us to have a perfect wiki done?
Yep.
So instead, why don't we have just good enough and then and focus on the customer, focus on the people instead. Okay, so that's perfection to us. And when we're balancing people and the documentation when necessary, that's perfect for us.
Yes, because our goals,
balance.
Yes, and one of our values is relationship. It's not only our product, but it's our company as well. And if I push all that out there to articles and say, hey, go here's the link, go read that, and I never engage with anyone, then I never build a relationship. Well, I've missed the mark. We've failed at our goals. So it has to be a balance.
What if I did it just a little bit better every day? Well, you know what? On Tuesday, I'm going to spend like 20 minutes writing up an article because I know people ask this question a lot. What if instead of having, the perfect client portal, what if I had a client portal that just gave the client things that they were asking for?
Mm-hmm.
Not things I want them to see, but things that they're asking for. Hey, I need to see my budget. Okay, let's show you it. And so this idea of less than perfect, but accessible is better because now when we talk to people, the one of the number one objectives I see for people wanting to implement our software is the fact that I don't have time for this. Well, our product saves you time, but I don't have time for it. And so it's a chicken and egg thing. Like,
yes.
What if we told you it costs you no time? I still don't have time to do this. Okay.
Yeah. Now you have another problem, apparently.
Now you got another problem.
Yeah.
And so why don't you? What is the iterative process here? What's your next step to getting out of the hole you're in. Sit down and think of that. And if your next step is a leap, that might be too much. Okay, is there something else you can do instead? Is your if you want to get in shape, break that down. Yes. What is your first step? Well, I need some home gym equipment. Well, it might be a leap for you because those are expensive. What if you went for a walk every day?
Just go for a walk.
Okay, you can't do a 20-minute walk. What if you just walked around the block today and you just keep doing that for the next 3 months? And next time you think, hey, you know what? My next goal is I want to walk around the park today. Yep. Now that I've got this habit, I know 10 o'clock every day, I go outside with my dog and I get my exercise. Or, you hire a physical trainer to hold you accountable. So you go to a gym, there's going to be that person at the gym and you're going to do a light workout. A lot of these physical trainers will start you out on a pretty light workout because they want to build the habit. Once the habit's in place, they iterate and they add more on. And now it becomes something you look forward to. Like I look forward to going to the gym because I get the steam room afterwards, right? And I get my protein shake and those are tasty. And so that is how, you motivate yourself. But it was a little thing. I didn't say I'm going to go in and do the P90X program to finish. Yeah. I said, I'm going to do something that I want to do every day. And then I'm going to build on that. And since I've started that process, like I've gotten more definition, I've increased my muscle mass. And it's not because I'm trying to work out really hard. The fact that I'm just going to the gym. Yeah. And so when it comes to making your MSP better, what is that one thing you can do today that will make your MSP better? That will make your business better, make your day better.
There's a really cool element here. I think some people, they hear that sort of approach and they go, okay, that's okay. I guess we can endure that. We'll suffer through this process, for however long it takes until we get to our goal. But here's what you'll find along the way. If you make it just a little bit better tomorrow, all right, than it was today, tomorrow is a better day. All right. Yep. Or, if today was better than yesterday, and it's not like you're waiting however much time before you see a benefit. You're going to see benefits right away, whether it's, in the, whatever operational or, technical thing you're working with, whether it's the morale of your team or the relationship with your clients. Every little bit that you do that's better today than it was yesterday is an accomplishment. You've made progress. So don't look at that one big goal is I'm gonna get that or not. It's all the steps you take getting there are going to be wins for you.
And you can look at that as atomic habits. You read that book or go to that process, read up on that. Or read anything by The Goal. That's a 1984 book, I believe. There's a lot of books on this iterative process that you can get through. Read a traction book, for crying out loud. If you like EOS, read one of those.
I like that.
And the idea is that if you do little tiny changes, such as, drink an extra glass of water today, little things like absolutely micro, and you build a habit out of them, and you spend a year doing that, then all of a sudden that by this time next year, you're in a better place, and it costs you almost no effort. So in your MSP, what if like once a day you said hi to an employee that you usually don't? That becomes your habit. Now you're improving culture just a little bit at a time. Okay, so one of your big problems is, meeting with clients, or is client interaction and understanding them. Like, what if one time every day you just looked at your client in ConnectWise, Halo, or just go through and do it. Just little tiny thing. Just look at the company, glance at it, remind you that they're still alive. And that one little thing could trigger off after a while. Like, you're used to doing that 10 o'clock a.m. You got your cup of coffee and you're going to flip through 5 clients you haven't looked at in a while. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And instead of trying to buy software to fix your world, just make little changes. And that's a mentality shift we had in Humanize. Was we were using managed services platform, and we said, what if we just created templates so people just now they can do it. They don't think someday they'll have a full stack. Someday they'll have this process in place. Let's just create really easy way for them to deliver and have conversations. And we're like, well, you can't do that. You can't have a conversation. You can't train somebody to do all of this in under an hour. Like, people know how to talk. All you have to do is walk in with a notebook and a pencil and take notes on what they have to say. Not hard, easy. No. Now, setting up the meeting can be a pain, but that's because you've trained them that you're boring.
That's true.
Hey, look, I'm willing to bring in your department some donuts. And
whatever it takes, whatever bait you need.
We're not even gonna talk about it. I'll bring you guys donuts once a quarter. Drop them off, and see you next quarter. Now, after a while, that donut drop off becomes a conversation of an hour. Mm-hmm. After a while, you come prepared with some materials. Those are little tiny processes that work. You didn't have to buy a giant software. You didn't have to, come up with a massive process and be prepared for it. You just had to talk and start.
Yep. And I have seen, I've been doing onboarding with the platform for many years now, started before we even, had Humanize IT put together. And I would work with these MSPs, and they would start with these great intentions. They've got smart people in the room. They've got a plan. They know what they want to do, but it is so detailed, and we're looking at all these different features. How do we plug in this value? All right, what does this part do? Okay, we need to, make sure this all connects, and we'll work for 6-9 months. And at the end of it, they really don't have a lot, that they've done a ton of work, but they're like, yeah, we still have to do this. We can't, schedule a meeting because we don't have this part. And I'm like, why? You've got one part over here that looks great. Let's use it. All right. Yeah. And we'll add more stuff on later. So that was one of the things we did. Let's give you a better starting spot. Right. Yeah, and it's still not going to be the ultimate, perfection sort of element, but you can use it right away and make the engagements you have right now better than they were yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that's what we discovered in our coaching. Like, for those of you with coaching with us and who have been using our product since the 2018 era, it was a long forklift. It was like 6 months, 3 to 6 months to get going with a good stack audit and get this in place. And people will get to the end and be like, I'm just not in a place where I can get this kind of work done. Yep. And we keep hearing that over and over again. And it's not because the person was incompetent. It's not because they were lazy or anything. It was because it was too much. Yeah. It was a whale they were trying to eat. And so you got to eat a whale one bite at a time, or eat an elephant one bite at a time.
That's it.
And so we started focusing on the wins, where MSPs were making a lot of money, and winning was, as Skip said, this is what you're doing really well. Let's focus on that. You already have that done. Let's lean into that. So if you're a strengths finder person, another good book, lean into the strength you have and make that your thing. Don't try to invent something completely new. Don't spend a year and a half. How many times in your IT career have you spent a year failing because it was too much? But the idea was great if you could have just got there. And so we're trying to say the price of perfection is failure.
Yeah.
And because you can't get there. The price of perfection is failure, because you'll miss it and you'll think it's your fault, when actually you just didn't have the right mindset. Didn't have the right iterative process in place. And so you failed at trying to be perfect. Instead, why don't you try to be better? And my kids say it all the time, there's no perfect. Yeah. You want to be better, and you want to be better today than you were yesterday. I had a guy who worked with us a while ago, and he says, make what you're doing today look like crap tomorrow. Keep doing that, you'll be fine. Yeah. And that's the iterative process. And if you look at something like, okay, if I do this, then in a year I'm going to be fine. No. Look at something and say, will this make me better today? Will it make me better tomorrow? If you haven't broken it down to that, you're probably setting yourself up for a failure. And you got to tell your client the same thing. What is their problem today? And if you have a problem you're trying to solve, it's a big one, a large, massive whale you're trying to eat. Okay, how are you going to eat that elephant? Like, what am I going to do today? Yep. And so find those quick wins. Find better. And so we also talk about, Skip always says, build the plane while flying it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Get it to take off and say, okay, we probably need some flaps on this thing before we land.
Well, and I think, the marketplace that, we all work in, specifically technology, this constant churn and change, we have to be adaptable to this. And we are going to need to focus on these little gains, because to get to the big gain, we're going to have to break a lot of stuff. Or we're going to have to stop things that maybe they're not great, but they are still working. And that's not a position that most businesses could be in. I mean, you can't say, all right, we're going to cancel all of our contracts right now because they aren't as profitable as we want. And we're going to redo new contracts that will be as profitable. All right.
Yeah.
Company's probably not going to survive. Right. So you're going to need to make those changes that make sense. And a big goal is great. You need those big lights, that big hill that you're, trying to work your way up. Those are good, but you got to realize you're not going to, go from the valley to the mountaintop in one step. You're going to have to climb that hill,
But if I could just get there. Yeah. So, it seems simple. I should be able to climb these mountains behind me. I'm not gonna. It looks very easy. I should just be able to, and when I can't, I'm going to say it's my fault. I just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
No, I just didn't have a good plan. And that's why we, at Humanize IT take that iterative process. You don't have to do everything all at once. You can see success. Okay, what are you doing really well? Okay, we're going to package that up. You can deliver that this afternoon. Mm-hmm. And then when you want to do the rest of this, go ahead and add it on. But you're already winning. That's the difference between an iterative process software and a waterfall process. Mm-hmm. Is that you won't see a return on this until 6-8 months down the road when all these pieces are working together. Or what is my win today that I get? And can I add on to that over time? I'm not going to be a great firewall admin today. But you know what I can do? I can train my intern on how to do shadowed rules. Look for shadowed rules. That one thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually they get really good at that and they get bored. I'm going to add on another. Like, hey, why are you looking for shadowed rules? Let's look for next thing. Mm-hmm. And eventually they're going to become a great firewall admin. And the last thing I want to leave people with here is when you're seeking improvement, fail fast. Mm-hmm. Don't try to reach perfection. Don't blame yourself. Learn your lesson. Say it didn't work because fail yourself and move to something that's going to work tomorrow.
Yes. So and don't see that failure as a complete failure. I mean, yes, it didn't do what you want, but you now know more than you did before. And that's going to, train and guide you in your future decisions. So capitalize on what you've learned. You didn't learn the right thing, but you learned something, and that will help you make better decisions going forward.
You are better today.
Better. Yep.
You failed.
Be better.
That's okay. You are better. Because when you fail, you become better when you learn why you failed. Mm-hmm. I do things dumb all the time. I have bad days. I use wrong tones. I make bad decisions that I pay for later. Did I learn from that? Yes. In that case, I am better today.
That's right.
I am better today, just a little bit. I'm just a little bit better. And I'm going to move forward because of that. If you spend a year failing, you just lost a year. So iterate. Small micro processes that are going to move forward. Read Atomic Habits. Read a traction book. Read The Goal. Read one of the agile process books. Just kind of get that mentality in your head and make yourself better every day. Even if it's just drinking one more glass of water. Yep. Even if it's just waving hi at an employee you haven't seen in a while. Make yourself better. And in the end of the year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll be in a place that you want to be. Mm-hmm. I love this. The price of perfection. Perfection is the enemy, and unless it's a good steak. All right. I'll talk to everyone later.
Thanks, everyone.